Hi, welcome back to All About the Alternative. So we're going to do another outburst game today, and of course what it basically is I have this card reader that reveals all the information that we're going to be talking about, and it have all these cards, about 800 of these cards that I had found, that lots of different topics and content that I can create out of these. And so this one might appeal more to the guys. I've done a few things that appeal to the girls' side and a little bit for that. Today this one might appeal more to the guys, I think. And basically what it is you take the reader, you take the card, and you drop it inside the reader, and it reveals what 10 things that associate to this topic at the top, or this thing at the top. So basically what it is, this is a game, not a contest. You get maybe some bragging rights if you get them all correct. So you can pause your screen after I've given you the title and write down 10 things that associate to that main topic. And if you get them correct, you can put them down in the comments below. And if you have some others and you'd like to make some suggestions that would go with this, what I normally do with this is actually, even though we have 10 items here, I'm going to talk about those 10 items, but I'm also going to add to it. And at this point, there is 10 on this card. I actually found 38. And so you'll see in a moment. Here's the topic for today's outburst game. It's cars named after animals or for animals. So write those down below, write those down on your piece of paper, and see if you get them right. I'll be right back with you in a moment. So now that you wrote down all the 10 items from cars named for animals, I'm going to give you what's on the card, and we're going to discuss them a little bit here. So the ones it has in the card is Mustang, Cougar, Colt, Impala, Jaguar, Bronco, Lynx, Pinto, Bobcat, and Rabbit. Did you get all those? If you did, take some bragging rights and put it down in the comments below that you got those ones right. Now, what did you add to it? You can also put those in the comments below as well. And I'm going to talk a little bit about these 10 items. Now, of course, there are a lot of different ones. So there's some that basically have an animal that's associated to a lot of different things. And in this case, a lot of cars actually have animal names that are part of what their name is featuring. So in this case, number one is the Mustang, and it was first built in 1964. It's still being produced today, although any ones of the vehicles that are produced after 2025 are of the electric vehicles. And it's associated with actually an American Aviation P-51 Mustang fighter plane, but of course it's also the free-roaming horses found in the western United States. They are officially feral, which means they are wild but are descended from domesticated animals. These were brought over from Spain starting in the late 15th century. I'm not going to do every single one of these with the history of them, but I'm just going to try to associate what the animal is, if it's not already current. Of course, number 2 on our list is the Ford Mercury Cougar. And of course, that is the Cougar that we all know. And it was first built in 1967, last built in 2002. And our next one is the Dodge Colt. And it was first built in 1962, last built in 2013. It was actually re-established in 2023 in only Europe. And of course, it's associated with a young male horse, and you'll see pictures of that as well. Number 4 is the Impala, so the Chevrolet Impala, and it was first built in 1958, last built in 2020. Um, and it was basically wasn't a high performance car, which actually fitted with what the actual animal it's one of the antelope series of so they were associated with an antelope, but not very fast. And but it can run around 50 miles per hour, which makes it capable of escaping any predators it has, and that's the information there. Number 5 on our list is the Jaguar. And this one was actually built in 1935, was its first build. And it was last built officially in 2024, as any vehicles now, again, just like the Mustang, any vehicles after 2025 are now considered all electric vehicles. Number 6 on our list is the Ford Bronco. And this one was started to be built in 1966. Somewhere around the 90s, it was stopped production for a bit, and then it came reproduction again back in the 2000s, and it's still being produced today. And of course, the Bronco is a horse, not a specific type, is what they've said, and it's a breed that used to buck, which makes them popular in rodeo events. The number 7 on our list is the Mercury Lynx. First built in 1981, it was actually last built in 1987. It was a compact car marketed by Lincoln Mercury based on the Ford Escort. The Lynx was sold alongside the Escort and was discontinued in 1987. In 1988, the Lynx was replaced by the Mazda-built Mercury Tracer. And our number 8 and 9 sort of go congruently together, because they sort of built these two cars in design to each other, I guess, is what it was basically said. And it's basically number 8 is the Pinto, Ford Pinto, and it was built from 1971 to 1980. And the other one is the number 9, which is our Bobcat, which was built in 1974 and last built in 1980 as well. That one is the Mercury Bobcat, and that's the Bobcat. And number 10 is a Volkswagen Rabbit, and that was first built in 1974, and it was also known in the generations later as the Volkswagen Golf. But it was last built in 1984 for the Rabbit. It was reintroduced again, or revived, in 2006 to 2010, where in 2010 it became the Golf all over again. And so then afterward, so that's your 10. That's your main 10. And so that was what was on this card. Now hopefully you got those ones right. And if you maybe have some other ones that you may have on, you might be on this next list that I will be giving you as well. So of course, I'm not necessarily putting any kind of Canadian spin on it like I normally do. These ones are just ones that came up, and of course they're animals that are associated also to other cars. And so the first one I found was the AC Greyhound, and this one was produced from 1959 to 1963. The next one is the Apperson Jack Rabbit. It was actually produced in 1916. However, in 1926 the company folded. And it's the Jackrabbit is actually a Jackrabbit is more like a hare, so that's why they associated it to that. The next one is the Buick Wildcat, and it's from 1962, and has gone to be an electric vehicle as well in 2022, still being produced today. This next one is called the Disham 7 Little Buffaloes, and from what I gathered on this one was actually built in 1908, and it basically was in 1909 the company folded, so it only had 1 year in production. I believe there was actually only 36 that were ever produced. This next one actually goes concurrent with actually 2 of them that they had. which was the Damaso Mangusa, which is like a mongoose, and the Damaso Panthera, which is the a panther. And both of these were produced in 1967 to 1971, and 400 of these were produced. Is pretty popular actually is the Dodge Ram. And of course that would be the Dodge Ram truck or vans that were built in 1980 and still in production today. They're based on the male sheep. The Fiat Panda is our next one, and it's based on the giant panda. And it was produced in 1980. I believe it is still in production at this time. The next one we have is the Ford Corcel. This one actually was produced from 1968 to 1986. It was actually more common in South America markets, and it's actually another form of horse as well. The next one we have is a Ford Puma. This is a more recent entry into our market, and it goes along with the cat or cougar. The next one is the Ford Taurus, which was introduced around 1986. And Ford Taurus is Latin for bull. The next one is the Hellman Husky. And this one, of course, is named after the breed of dog for Husky, which, of course, you're seeing my dog, which is a Husky, representing the dog here. It was first produced in 1954. In production line, it usually had about 1958 to 1965. After it was a state that was basically sold off, and they didn't produce them anymore after that. The next one is a Hyundai Pony, which, of course, is compared to a pony. This actually is usually a hatchback car that's usually pretty small, usually pretty compact, and is understandably why it's compared to a pony, quite the small car. Our next one is the Lamborghini Miura. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly. And in any case, if I'm mispronouncing any of these, please forgive me for that. I'm trying to do the best I can. Apparently it was launched in 1966. The Miura was generally regarded as the first mid-engine supercar, though not the first mid-engine road-going production car. And our next one is the Mazda Bongo. And although it appears to be referred to a type of drum, the Bongo is actually, in fact, is named after a large antelope. It's the third biggest of all antelopes, dwarfed only by the giant England and common eland. It was first produced as a light van, introduced in 1966. Next up, we have the Mercury Sable. Similar to the Ford Taurus, apparently, the sable is a small mammal which is part of the marten family. Our next one is the Pajero. It's a large off-roader along with several other models, was known to the UK as the Shogun and in other markets as the Montero. But in Japan, it was always referred to as the Pajero. And our next one is the Nissan Leopard. Obviously, it's named after the leopard, and it was produced from 1988 to 1999. Next up, we have the Reliant Kitten. Kitten occupies an interesting position in Reliant's history. Before it was launched in 1975, Reliant had specialized in sporting models and small three-wheeled passenger cars, as well as a variety of commercial vehicles. The Kitten was at its first commercial four-wheeler and the first car intended from the start to be used. Our next one here is called the Seat Leon, which actually is Spanish for lion, and that was first generation created in 1999. Unfortunately, there's some things I don't have all the information for, and as you can see, I'm trying to give you the information that I have. Perhaps at some point in the future, we'll actually deep dive into what Ford and what all their vehicles were all about and everything. Hopefully we can do that. The information I had was very limited that I was actually able to come across for some of these vehicles, and so I apologize that some of it is very limited. Our next one, though, is called the Singer Chamois, and it apparently is remembered as the Hillman Imp. I don't even have a year that this one was started to create or anything, but it's considered to be a goat antelope. Similar to that, and that's the animal that you're seeing here is the chamois. And the next one we have, of course, is the gazelle. Singer gazelle, actually, is what this one is. And this one here was actually created in 1950, or started to be produced in 1955, and also is part of the same Hillman creation as well. And it was run up until 1967, apparently, that they went out of production. Our next one up here is the Stutz Bearcat, and of course the Bearcat, it actually was produced in 1911, was the first of these, and it ran up until 1920s, and then reappeared again in 1970s to 1980s, where it is no longer being produced at this time. And our next one is the Sunbeam Tiger. Sunbeam Tiger, first used in the Tiger name in the 1920s for a car which achieved now an imaginable combination of being successful in circuit racing and in 1926 settling in a new land speed record. It was produced as a sports car between 1967 and, 1964 to 1967. This next one is called the Triumph Stag. Apparently it is named after any the male red deer or any of the large deer species. Apparently it was not the most reliable car. The Volkswagen Lupo is our next one, and introduced in 1998. The Lupo was a city car based on a shortened version of the platform used for third generation Volkswagen Polo, among other vehicles. Lupo is a Latin word for wolf, and that's where this one gets its name. Our next one up is the AC Cobra. The AC Cobra is also known as the Shelby Cobra, which is a derivative of the Ace sports car. There are several types of snake which are called cobra, which are venomous, have hoods which they unfold when they feel threatened. And our last one is the Dodge Viper, also known similar as a snake as well. It was actually produced up until 2017. It is no longer in production. So there you have it. There's a number of cars that are associated to or named after an animal. And hopefully, I know there are many others actually that can probably be brought up as well. These were the main ones that I found. And I gave a little bit of information on them, like I said, partway through here, that perhaps I may take a section of this and actually just, do a little deep dive into the history of some of these a little bit more. Today I just wanted to give a little bit to go with the name of the game, of course, is to name them. And so I thought we'd do both. We can show the animal that they're associated to and maybe a little bit of history. I don't have all the information, and like I said, I will deep dive a little bit more perhaps in the future into some of these as time permits. So hopefully that gave you a little information on a little background of some of these. Learned a little bit today, and if you can think of any more that I don't have on this list, like I said, I know there are others. Put them into the comments below. We'll try and go through them another day and do a little response to them when I can as well. So hopefully you can give me a like and a subscribe, and put any comments down below if there's anything that you can think of that I can add to this list, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day, everybody.